The great hall of the Stellar Alliance fell silent as Admiral Gray entered. His blue skin looked pale under the bright lights. The 7 council members watched him with worried eyes. "Another ship is gone," Admiral Gray said. His voice was low and tired. "The cargo vessel Swiftwind. 123 lives lost." Elder Toll, the oldest council member, closed his 4 eyes slowly. "That makes 9 ships in 3 months, all without a trace." Admiral Gray placed a small device on the round table. It projected a fuzzy image above it. "Not without a trace this time. The swift wind sent this before it vanished." The image showed only darkness at first. Then something moved in that darkness. Not a ship, not an asteroid. Something that seemed to swallow light itself. The council members leaned forward. "The shadow," whispered one of them. "We heard the crew call it that in their last message," Admiral Gray said. Then nothing. The Stellar Alliance had known peace for over 300 years. Their ships were built for beauty and comfort, not war. Their 32 star systems had grown soft in their safety. "What can we do?" asked Elder Toll. "Our defense fleet is not made for this. They are parade ships, not battle cruisers." Admiral Gray had no answer. He had sent patrol ships to guard the outer colonies, but what good were they against something that could destroy a vessel without warning? The Alliance was facing an enemy it could not fight. A young aide rushed into the hall, breaking all rules of council meeting behavior. "Admiral, Elder Toll, something is approaching Alliance space." The large screen on the wall lit up with a star map. A single red dot moved steadily toward the center. "Is it the shadow?" Elder Toll asked, his voice shaking. "No," the aide said. "It's a ship, but nothing like we've ever seen." The image changed to show a vessel that made several council members gasp. It was dark gray with sharp angles and what looked like weapons covering its hull. No Alliance ship had ever been built this way. Alliance vessels were smooth and elegant, with gentle curves and bright colors. This ship looked made for one purpose: war. "It's heading directly for Centauri Station," Admiral Gray said. "Our largest outer colony." "Are they evacuating?" asked a council member. "There's no time," the aide said. "The ship will arrive in minutes. It's moving faster than anything in our fleet." Suddenly, the ship slowed. The council watched in tense silence as it took position near Centauri Station without approaching further. "They're transmitting," the aide said with surprise. In standard Alliance code. A voice filled the council hall. It was calm and clear. "This is Captain Walker of the Earth Warship Defiant. We come in peace and offer assistance. We've tracked a hostile entity to your region of space. We believe you're under attack by what we call a Ravagor swarm. We've fought them before. Request permission to dock and share information." Elder Toll looked at Admiral Gray. "Earth, is that a known world?" "No," Admiral Gray said. "We have no record of humans in our database." On the screen, the strange angular ship waited patiently. As they watched, long-range scanners showed something else moving in the far distance. A patch of darkness heading toward Centauri Station. The shadow was coming. Elder Toll made a quick decision. "Tell them they have permission to dock. We need to know what they know." Admiral Gray nodded. "And what they want. No species builds a ship like that unless they've known war." As the transmission was sent, the council members wondered if they were inviting saviors or a new danger. Either way, the peaceful existence of the Stellar Alliance had ended. The age of innocence was over. The human warship had arrived. And everything was about to change. Admiral Gray and Science Officer Lorne stood in the docking bay of Centauri Station. Both tried to hide their nerves as the airlock doors opened. Captain Walker stepped out first. She looked almost like the people of Verus Prime, except her skin was tan instead of blue, and she had only 2 eyes. 4 more humans followed her, wearing dark uniforms with patches that showed a blue and green world. "Thank you for allowing us to dock," Captain Walker said with a small bow. Her voice was strong but friendly. Admiral Gray nodded back. You said you fought this shadow before. We need to know what we're facing. We call them Ravagers, Captain Walker said. They're a hive mind species that travels between galaxies looking for resources to consume. We encountered a small group 20 years ago. It took 3 of our warships to defeat them. Officer Lorne's eyes widened. 3 ships like yours? Yes, and the swarm we fought was much smaller than what our scouts have detected here. Admiral Gray and Officer Lorne exchanged worried looks. If 3 human warships had barely defeated a small group, what hope did the Alliance have against this larger swarm? Perhaps we should continue this talk in the command center, Admiral Gray suggested. As they walked through the station, the humans drew stares from Alliance citizens. The humans moved differently, always alert, always watching. Even in peace, they seemed ready for battle. In the command center, Captain Walker showed them images of the Ravagers. They look like shadows because they absorb light. They're actually a collection of billions of small organisms working together. They strip planets of metals and organic matter, then move on. Why have they come here? Asked Officer Lorne. Your Alliance has rich worlds with little defense, said a human named Commander Reed. You're an easy target. Admiral Gray frowned at the blunt words, but couldn't deny they were true. What do you propose? He asked. Captain Walker stepped forward. Let us help you. The Defiant has weapons that can hurt the Ravagers, and we can teach your crews how to fight them. And what do you want in return? Asked Officer Lorne. No species offered help without wanting something back. Earth wants peace and trade, Captain Walker said. We're explorers now, but our history is full of war. We learned to protect ourselves. Your Alliance has knowledge and culture we don't. We can learn from each other. The Alliance Council debated for hours after meeting the humans. Some trusted Captain Walker's offer. Others feared these war-ready humans might be worse than the Shadow. We should see their ship, Officer Lorne suggested. It might tell us more about them than their words. Captain Walker agreed to show them the Defiant. Admiral Gray and Officer Lorne were stunned by what they saw. Every hallway could be sealed in seconds. Every system had backups. The weapons control room had technology the Alliance had never imagined. Most surprising was the crew. Efficient but kind, serious but willing to joke. Your ship is built entirely for war, Officer Lorne said as they toured the engine room. For defense, corrected the human engineer. There's a difference. We build these ships hoping never to use their weapons. In the ship's database, Officer Lorne found human history. It was filled with conflict, but also with art, music, and a drive to explore. These humans had nearly destroyed themselves many times, yet always pulled back from the edge. As they returned to the station, alarms sounded. On the main screen, a dark mass moved toward a small Alliance colony. The Shadow is attacking Outpost 7, and 8 reported. Captain Walker looked at Admiral Gray. Let us help you. The Defiant can be ready in 10 minutes. Admiral Gray hesitated only briefly. Very well, but I'm coming with you. As the humans rushed back to their ship, Officer Lorne caught Captain Walker's arm. Why did Earth really send you? She asked. Just one ship against such a threat. Captain Walker's face grew serious. Earth has been watching. We needed to see if your alliance was worth saving, if you would fight for yourselves with our help or just surrender. And your decision. Captain Walker smiled slightly. I think we're about to find out. Again, Commander Reed shouted. Faster this time. Alliance crew members scrambled across the bridge of their ship, the Starlight. Their movements were getting better, but still too slow. On the main screen, a simulated Ravager attack played out. The Alliance ship was destroyed for the 5th time that day. In a real fight, you'd all be dead, Commander Reed said. His voice wasn't mean, but it was firm. The Ravagers won't wait while you check the manual. One Alliance officer, Tam, slumped in his chair. Our ships were never built for this. We're explorers, not soldiers. Commander Reed walked over to him. My great-grandfather was a baker before Earth's first alien war. He learned to fight because he had to. You can too. Aboard the Defiant, Admiral Gray watched Captain Walker review battle plans. The human moved with quick confidence, something rare in the peaceful alliance. Your crew trains as if war is always coming, Admiral Gray said. Captain Walker nodded. On Earth, we have a saying, hope for peace, prepare for war. We train hard so we don't have to use our training. And how often does that work? Admiral Gray asked. Captain Walker's smile was small and sad. Not as often as we'd like. In the science lab, Officer Lorne worked with the human science team. She had never seen such advanced weapons, but their medical technology seemed less developed than Alliance methods. Your people focused on different things than ours, the human scientist explained. We had to protect ourselves from each other before we reached the stars. You had peace earlier. Officer Lorne studied a scan of the Ravager sample the humans had preserved. These creatures consume everything. Metals, organics, even radiation. That's what makes them so dangerous, the scientist said. They don't negotiate. They don't feel mercy. They just consume. After a week of training, Captain Walker called a meeting with the Alliance leaders. 3 colony worlds had stopped sending signals. The Ravagers are moving faster than we expected, she said, pointing to a map. They're not just attacking random targets. They're gathering resources in a pattern. What pattern? Asked Admiral Gray. They're collecting specific metals and compounds, Commander Reed explained. The kind used to build large structures. What are they building? Officer Lorne asked, feeling a chill. Captain Walker's face grew grim. We believe they're constructing a gateway to bring more of their kind from another galaxy. If they succeed, this entire region of space will be lost. The room fell silent. The Alliance Council had only approved defensive actions so far. Many still feared the humans and their war-ready ways. Some even suggested trying to communicate with the Ravagers. We need to stop them now, Captain Walker said firmly. The Defiant can lead an attack, but we need your ships too. Elder Toll, who had joined from the Central Alliance world, shook his head. Our people are not prepared for war. Perhaps we should evacuate the outer worlds and protect our core systems. Commander Reed slammed his hand on the table. That's exactly what they want. While you retreat, they'll grow stronger. Each world they take gives them more resources. The argument grew heated until Admiral Gray stood up. I have spent time on the Defiant, he said. I've watched how these humans live. They don't love war. They respect its cost. But they're right about one thing. We cannot hide from this threat. He turned to Captain Walker. How many Alliance ships would you need? At least 3, with full crews willing to fight, she answered. We can refit them with some of our weapon systems. Elder Toll looked troubled. And if I refuse? Captain Walker met his gaze. Then the Defiant will fight alone. We'll do what we can. But I won't lie. It won't be enough. Officer Lorne spoke up. The humans could have ignored our plight. They could have watched the Ravagers destroy us, then faced a weaker enemy. Instead, they came to help. The room fell silent again. Finally, Elder Toll nodded slowly. You will have your ships, Captain, and crews who volunteer to fight. As the meeting ended, Admiral Gray asked the question many were thinking. Can we actually win this fight? Captain Walker looked at him directly. I don't know, but I do know that the Ravagers have never faced humans and the Alliance working together. That might just make all the difference. The Defiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Kairos, the farming colony that had sent a distress call 12 hours ago. 2 Alliance ships, the Starlight and the Dawn Seeker, followed close behind. Their once smooth hulls now carried human weapon systems that looked out of place on the elegant vessels. Scanners active, reported Officer Tam from his station on the Starlight. His hands moved faster now after weeks of training with Commander Reed. Admiral Gray stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching as Captain Walker calmly gave orders. The human crew moved with practiced ease, each person knowing exactly what to do. "Colony in visual range," announced a human officer. The main screen showed Kairos, a green world with 2 small moons. A shimmering shield covered the main settlement, and surrounding that shield was darkness, a massive shadow that seemed to pulse and move like a living thing. "Ravager swarm," Captain Walker said grimly. "Bigger than we expected." Officer Lorne, who had insisted on joining the mission, studied the readings from her station. "The colony shield is at 30% power. It will fail within hours." "Any response to our signals?" asked Admiral Gray. A communications officer shook her head. "Nothing clear, just emergency beacons." Captain Walker turned to Admiral Gray. "We need to split the swarm, make them fight on 2 fronts." The plan was simple but dangerous. The Defiant would approach the colony directly, drawing part of the swarm away. The 2 Alliance ships would circle around and attack from the other side, creating confusion among the Ravagers. "Remember your training," Commander Reed told the Alliance crews over the comm. "Don't stop moving. Don't let them surround you." The Defiant moved forward, its weapons powering up. The ship seemed to come alive, like a hunter sensing prey. As they approached the dark mass, Captain Walker gave the order. "Fire all forward batteries." Beams of intense blue light shot from the Defiant, cutting into the shadow. Parts of the darkness broke away, moving toward the human ship. "They're taking the bait," Walker said. "Alliance ships, begin your approach." The Starlight and Dawn Seeker moved into position. Their crews were nervous but ready. When Commander Reed gave the signal, they fired their new weapons into the swarm. For the first time, the people of the Alliance saw how humans fought. The Defiant didn't just attack, it danced. It spun and turned between groups of Ravagers, never staying still, always firing. The human weapons tore through the shadow creatures, creating gaps in the swarm. "They're splitting up," Officer Tam reported with excitement. "The plan is working." On the Dawn Seeker, the captain watched in awe as the human ship battled creatures that had terrified the Alliance for months. "They fight like they've done this their whole lives," he whispered. The Alliance ships followed the Defiant's example, moving constantly while firing. It wasn't perfect. Their movements were less smooth, their timing off. But they were fighting back. After an hour of battle, a path opened to the colony. Captain Walker ordered a team to the surface, led by Security Chief Martinez. Admiral Gray insisted that Medical Officer Trell from the Alliance join them. The team found survivors hiding in underground shelters. The colony leader, an older woman named Ressa, greeted them with tears of relief. "We thought no one was coming," she said. "The shadow surrounds us, taking everything. Our ships, our metal, even the soil itself." Chief Martinez examined the colony's defenses while Officer Trell treated the injured. What they discovered was troubling. "The Ravagers aren't just destroying," Martinez reported back to the Defiant. "They're taking specific materials and leaving others. It's like they're shopping for parts." Officer Trell found something even more disturbing. Some survivors saw Ravagers herding civilian ships away instead of destroying them, taking them somewhere. Back in space, the battle continued. The swarm was weakening, but not retreating. "They're protecting something," Captain Walker realized. She ordered scans of the far side of the planet. What they found confirmed their worst fears. A massive Ravager transport was collecting materials from the planet's surface. And among those materials were pieces of Alliance ships, ships that had disappeared without a trace weeks ago. "They're not just consuming," Admiral Gray said, his voice hollow. "They're building." Captain Walker nodded grimly. "And we need to find out what, before it's too late." The Grand Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from all 7 species of the Alliance sat frozen as Captain Walker showed them the images from Kairos colony. "This is what the Ravagers are building," she said, pointing to a large ring-shaped structure shown in the hologram. "A gateway. Once complete, it will allow them to bring their main force from another galaxy." Elder Toll's hands trembled. How many would come through? "Millions," Commander Reed answered bluntly, enough to consume every world in the Alliance within months. The rescue mission to Kairos had been successful. The colony was saved, and 3 Alliance ships had proven they could fight alongside the Defiant. But the discovery of the Ravager's true plan had changed everything. "How much time do we have?" asked Admiral Gray. Captain Walker's face was grim. Based on their current rate of construction, 2 weeks. Maybe less. Panic spread through the Council. Some suggested evacuating core worlds. Others wanted to try communicating with the Ravagers, offering them uninhabited planets in exchange for peace. "They don't negotiate," Captain Walker said firmly. "We tried that in our first encounter. They see other life as resources, nothing more." A council member stood up angrily. "Why should we trust you? One human ship appears when we're vulnerable, claiming to help. How do we know you didn't bring these Ravagers here yourselves?" The room erupted in shouts until Admiral Gray called for order. "I fought alongside these humans," he said. "They've risked their lives for our people. Without them, Kairos would be gone." Captain Walker waited for the noise to settle. "We have a plan," she said. "A joint mission to find and destroy the gateway before it's activated." "With what forces?" asked Elder Toll. "We have only 3 ships that can fight, and they barely survived 1 battle." "We'll use what we have," Captain Walker replied. "The Defiant and your 3 combat-ready vessels. We've sent word to Earth, but their fleet won't arrive for at least a month. We have to act now." As the Council debated, Officer Lorne pulled Captain Walker aside. "There's something you're not telling us," she said quietly. "Earth has faster ships than the Defiant. They could have sent more help by now." Captain Walker looked around to make sure no one was listening. "You're right," she admitted. "The Defiant carries sealed orders. We were sent to evaluate whether the Alliance is worth saving." Officer Lorne's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Earth has known about the Alliance for years. We watched you grow, but stayed hidden. When we detected the Ravager swarm heading your way, we had a choice: help you fight, or let nature take its course, and concentrate on defending Earth instead," Officer Lorne finished, understanding dawning on her face. Captain Walker nodded. "The Defiant was sent to judge whether your people would fight for yourselves if given the chance, or just surrender to the inevitable. And your judgment is still being made," Captain Walker said. "What happens in the next 2 weeks will determine whether Earth commits its full fleet to help the Alliance, or simply fortifies our borders and waits." Officer Lorne's face hardened with determination. "Then we will show you we're worth saving." Inside the Council chamber, the debate raged on. Many feared the mission was suicide. Others worried that trusting humans would lead to a different kind of doom. Admiral Gray finally stood and addressed the Council. "I've seen how these creatures fight. I've seen what they do to our worlds. And I've seen humans willing to die alongside us to stop them. I'm going on this mission, with or without Council approval." Elder Toll looked troubled. "The Defiant is just 1 ship. Even with our 3 vessels, what chance do you really have?" Captain Walker stepped forward. "A small chance is better than none. The Ravagers don't expect resistance. They think you'll run and hide. That's why we might succeed." As the Council voted, Officer Lorne returned to Captain Walker's side. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "know that some of us are ready to fight, even if it costs us everything." Captain Walker smiled slightly. "That," she said, "is exactly what Earth needed to know." The 4 ships moved silently through space. The Defiant led the way, followed by the Alliance vessels Starlight, Dawnseeker, and a new addition, the Resolve. For 6 days they had tracked the Ravager transports, jumping from system to system, always staying just out of detection range. "We're approaching the coordinates," Commander Reed said. "Scanners at minimum power to avoid detection." Captain Walker nodded. Beside her on the bridge stood Admiral Gray, who had not returned to Alliance headquarters despite orders to do so. His place, he had said, was with the fleet. "Taking us out of faster than light in 3, 2, 1. The helmsman's voice was steady as the stars stopped streaking past the viewports. What they saw made even the battle-hardened humans fall silent. "By the spirits," whispered Admiral Gray. Before them hung a massive ring structure orbiting a dying red star. It was built from the metal of dozens of ships and even pieces of small moons. All around it swarmed the shadow creatures, carrying materials, fitting pieces together. The gateway was nearly complete. "It's bigger than we thought," Captain Walker said, her voice low. "Much bigger." Officer Lorne, who had insisted on joining the Defiant for this mission, studied the sensor readings. "The energy readings are enormous. They're using the star's radiation to power it." In the weapons bay, Chief Martinez was working with Officer Trell on a discovery they had made at Kairos Colony. "These frequencies disrupted the small ravagers we captured," Officer Trell explained. "If we can amplify the signal and broadcast it near the center of the swarm, it might break their hive-mind connection," Martinez finished. "But we'd need to get close, very close." Captain Walker gathered the ship commanders for a final briefing. The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. "The Defiant will approach from the front, drawing their attention," she explained. "The Alliance ships will circle around and attack the power conduits here, and here." She pointed to spots on the ring. "What about the disruption signal?" asked the captain of the Resolve. "We'll load it onto a shuttle," Chief Martinez said. "A small craft might slip through while they focus on the bigger ships." Everyone knew what that meant. A one-way trip for whoever piloted the shuttle. "I'll do it," Martinez volunteered, surprising no one. The humans had a calm acceptance of self-sacrifice that still shocked the Alliance crew. "No," Admiral Gray said suddenly. "I will pilot the shuttle." Captain Walker started to object, but the look in Admiral Gray's eyes stopped her. "My people need to see that the Alliance is willing to fight," he said quietly. "Not just with human shields, but with our own lives." As the ships prepared for battle, Officer Lorne found Officer Trell making final adjustments to the disruption device. "Will it work?" she asked. Trell didn't look up from his work. "In theory, the Ravagers communicate through a specific frequency pattern. This should create enough chaos for the weapons to be effective. And if it doesn't?" Trell finally met her eyes. "Then the gateway activates and everything we know ends." The attack began without warning. The Defiant surged forward, weapons blazing, directly at the front of the gateway. Ravager swarms immediately moved to intercept. "Alliance vessels, begin your approach," Captain Walker ordered. The three ships swung wide around the dying star, using its radiation to mask their signatures until they were in position. The Defiant fought furiously, drawing more and more Ravagers away from the gateway. The ship shook with each hit, but kept firing. "Shields at 60%, reported a human officer. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7. Captain Walker's face showed no fear. "Keep their attention. Our allies need time." The Alliance ships moved into position and opened fire on the power conduits. At first, their attacks seemed to have little effect. Then the Starlight's captain remembered Commander Reed's training. "Concentrate all fire on the same spot," he ordered. "Don't spread out." The combined fire of the three ships began to cut through the structure. Ravagers swarmed toward them, but now they were divided between two threats. In the shuttle bay, Admiral Gray prepared to launch. The small craft carried the disruption device and enough fuel for a one-way trip to the center of the gateway. "Your people will remember your courage," Captain Walker told him. Admiral Gray smiled slightly. "Just make sure there are people left to remember." As the shuttle launched, the Defiant took a massive hit. The bridge lights flickered, and damage reports flooded in. "We can't take much more of this," Commander Reed warned. Captain Walker watched the small shuttle on the screen as it raced toward the heart of the gateway. "We don't need much more time," she said. "Just enough." Admiral Gray's shuttle dodged through waves of Ravagers. The small craft was faster than it looked, a human design that valued function over beauty. On his screen, He could see the Defiant taking heavy damage while drawing most of the swarm away. Power failure in Section 12. Captain Walker heard as the Defiant shook again. Weapons at 40%. Keep firing, she ordered. We need to keep their attention. The Alliance ships were performing better than anyone expected. The Starlight had lost an engine but kept fighting. The Dawn Seeker and Resolve were targeting the same power conduit, their combined fire finally breaking through. Conduit 1 is down, came the excited report. Gateway power reduced by 30%. Officer Lorne watched Admiral Gray's shuttle approach the center of the gateway. He's almost there, she said quietly. Captain Walker nodded. All ships, push forward. Give him cover. The Defiant surged ahead despite its damage. The move surprised the Ravagers, who had expected the damaged ship to retreat. Instead, it charged directly into the densest part of the swarm. Admiral Gray's shuttle reached the heart of the gateway. His hands were steady as he activated the disruption device. The small screen showed a countdown. 30 seconds. This is Admiral Gray to all ships, he transmitted. Device is active. Clear the area immediately. He was about to release the controls when he saw something alarming. Ravagers were swarming toward the device, sensing the threat. They're going to disable it, he realized. Instead of escaping, he gripped the controls tighter and pushed the shuttle deeper into the gateway structure. I need to protect the device until detonation. On the Defiant, Officer Lorne's eyes widened. He's not coming back. Captain Walker's face showed respect, but no surprise. She had seen this kind of courage before. All ships, begin retreat, she ordered. Maximum speed. The 3 Alliance vessels turned away from the gateway, their engines glowing brightly. The Defiant started to follow, but was hit by a massive Ravager attack. The ship spun out of control, drifting toward the gateway instead of away. Engine room, report. Captain Walker called. Main drive is down, came the strained reply. Working on backup systems. Officer Lorne looked at the screen in horror. We won't clear the blast radius in time. Captain Walker made a quick decision. Bridge crew to escape pods. Commander Reed, get everyone off this deck now. What about you? Officer Lorne asked as crew members rushed to obey. Somebody needs to get backup power online, Captain Walker said calmly. Go, that's an order. In the heart of the gateway, Admiral Gray watched the countdown reach 5 seconds. Ravagers were tearing at his shuttle, but the device remained protected. For the Alliance, he whispered as the counter hit 0. A blinding flash erupted from the center of the gateway. The disruption signal spread outward like a wave, causing the Ravager swarm to writhe and break apart. Without their hive mind connection, they became confused, individual creatures instead of a coordinated force. The wave hit the damaged Defiant just as Captain Walker managed to activate the backup engines. The ship lurched forward, but not fast enough to escape completely. The Alliance ships watched from a safe distance as the gateway collapsed in on itself, taking most of the Ravager swarm with it. There was no sign of Admiral Gray's shuttle or the Defiant. They're gone, whispered the captain of the Starlight. They sacrificed everything. 3 days of silence followed. The Alliance mourned their heroes and prepared defenses in case any Ravagers remained. Then a small signal appeared on long-range sensors, a single escape pod drifting through space. Inside were Captain Walker, Officer Lorne, and surprisingly, Admiral Gray. He had managed to eject from his shuttle at the last second, and the Defiant had picked him up before being critically damaged. The rest of the Defiant crew? Asked Elder Toll when they were brought to Alliance headquarters. Safe in other pods, Captain Walker said, already being recovered. As medical teams treated the survivors, a message arrived from Earth. The human fleet had responded to the Defiant's reports. 7 warships would arrive within days, not as conquerors, but as allies. Captain Walker looked at Admiral Gray and Officer Lorne. Earth has made its decision. The Alliance is worth saving and worth knowing. In the following weeks, the remaining Ravagers scattered and fled. Without their gateway and hive mind, they were no longer a threat. Throughout Alliance space, people looked to the stars without fear. On a view screen in Alliance headquarters, designs for a new ship appeared, one that combined Alliance elegance with human strength. A joint project between two civilizations that had each found something valuable in the other. They named the first ship of this new class the Dawn. The Terror had vanished overnight, and a new alliance was born in its place.